In this task, I'm going to edit the parcel layer to eliminate the errors found in task 2. So I've got these 17 errors that were found with the 3 topological rules. Some are gaps, some are overlaps, and some are duplicate geometries. And each one of these will use a slightly different technique to resolve. So first I'm going to work on the duplicate geometries. So the first step is to right-click on the parcels layer and to toggle editing on. And you'll see all the vertices turn to red. And one feature of the topology checker panel is that I can double click on one of the errors and zoom right to it. So I'll double click on this first duplicate geometry error and zoom to it so I can see where that parcel is. And I'm going to turn off the show selected errors because it makes the map kind of hard to read, especially with all the vertices marked with red X's because I'm in edit mode. I'm going to use the select features tool and select by dragging a box. And I'll open up the attribute table of the parcels layer and choose to show just selected features. And I'll see that there's 2 selected records, duplicates. So I'm going to select the one with the highest ID number. So it's the only selected record now. Close the attribute table, and I'll use the delete features button, delete selected features. So now if I go in and select this again and open up the attribute table, I can see that there's only the one feature there now. So it's fairly straightforward to fix duplicate features, and in the lab you'll repeat this procedure for the remaining duplicate geometry. To fix the remainder of the issues, I'm going to need to set my snapping tolerances and my vertex editing tolerance. So to start with snapping, I'll go to the settings menu to snapping options. I'm going to uncheck bus routes and bus stops so that I'll only be snapping to the parcels layer. I'm going to leave the mode as 2 vertex and segment so I can snap to both, but I'm going to change the tolerance to 10 map units. I also want to make sure that enable topological editing and enable snapping on intersection are enabled. Topological editing maintains common boundaries in polygon mosaics. So with this option checked, QGIS detects a shared boundary in a polygon mosaic, and you only have to move the vertex once, and QGIS will take care of updating the other boundary. So I'll click OK. And there's one more setting I need to take care of. I need to go into the settings, going into options, and go to the digitizing tab. And I want to set this search radius for vertex edits to 10. Setting this to something other than 0 helps ensure that QGIS will find the correct vertex when editing. So I'll click OK. And next I'm going to adjust the transparency of the parcels layer. I'm going to double click on it to open layer properties, go to the style tab, and I'm going to slide the transparency slider till I'm around 50%. Click OK. So I'm going to work on the first overlap issue. So I'm going to double click on this overlap with the feature ID of 624 to zoom to it. And with the transparency set, I can certainly see the overlap issue here. There's 2 parcels involved in the overlap. There's a western parcel overlapping the parcel to the east. And this western parcel needs to have its boundary moved to the west so it's not overlapping with this eastern parcel anymore. So I'm going to use the select feature by rectangle tool and select this westernmost parcel. Then I'm going to grab the node tool. The node tool allows you to move individual feature vertices. So I'll click on one of the vertices that needs to be moved, and you'll notice that the vertices of the selected feature turn into red boxes. And I'm going to zoom in. It's always a good idea to zoom in so you can see what you're doing a little better. So I'm going to grab the node tool again and click on this, and you'll see as I try to hold the left mouse key down and move this that the boundary of this parcel turns into a blue line so you can see where you're moving it. I want to move this till it snaps to this node right here and then let go. Move to the previous extent and zoom into the bottom. Grab my node tool again, and I'm going to drag this one over until it snaps to that vertice there. Now this should have solved the overlap issue. So I'm going to click the Validate Extent button. I see I still have a couple errors here. This still looks like there's a good overlap happening. So I'm going to zoom into this position down here and turn off show errors. I can see there's still an overlap. I didn't quite snap to the correct node. Hit validate extent. Okay, I've taken care of that. So I'll click validate extent again now that I'm up here. So there's still two small issues. There's this upper left-hand corner and this segment up here. These are probably pretty small errors. I'll zoom in there and I'm going to use the node tool. And in this situation, I may not even see the actual node move, but I'm going to just slide it a little bit and click validate extent. The error is moved. Okay, so I'll click validate extent and that error seems to have gone away. Zoom back to the previous extent and revalidate. I just have this one remaining to take care of. I'm going to zoom into that. I'm going to use the select features tool to select this parcel, which seems to be the involved parcel. Okay, so now I'll validate the extent. I seem to have taken care of that. Zoom back to the previous extent, validate again, and all the issues in this area seem to have been taken care of. So sometimes edits like these can be tricky. You have to have some patience, and you just need to be methodical and work with any of the vertices that seem to be throwing the topological errors. And with these very small snapping issues, it helps to zoom in a little bit and try to just move the vertex so that it snaps to the correct position. And you should be able to work through this methodically and solve all the issues. The remaining overlaps can be fixed in the same fashion. And so finally, I'm going to work on one of the gap errors. So I'm going to zoom to the previous extent, the extent of all the parcels, and I'm going to validate the full extent to get a fresh look at what the errors are. And I should see a reduction in the errors since I've fixed several of them. Okay, yeah, now I only have 11 errors left. I'm going to go to this first gap error. I'm going to double click on that to zoom to it. And I'm going to turn off the show errors. And you can see there's a small gap between these two polygons. So I'm going to zoom into this area. I'm going to select the northernmost parcel and grab the node tool again. Select this node in the lower left-hand corner and drag it down till it snaps to the southern. I'm going to validate the extent. There seems to be another error that popped up here. I'm going to zoom in a little tighter. I think I'll select this leftmost parcel to see if the issue is easier to see with this. Turn off the show errors again. And I see a little node down here. I'm suspecting that this little node down here may be the issue. Yeah, there's a little sliver there. So I'll grab the node tool and slide this so it snaps to that edge. I'm going to validate the extent. It seems to have taken care of the errors. Validate the extent. So the gap has been fixed. Sometimes it may be an error with the adjoining polygon. So look carefully at the vertices that are involved and try to deduce what the issue might be. In this lab, you've learned how to test the integrity of your vector data with topological rules. These rules can involve features in two different layers, or you can set them to test the features in a single layer. And there's different rules for points, lines, and polygon features. You also learned how to use topological editing and snapping tolerances to resolve the issues found in an edit session.